Okay, record on this computer.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kimberly Hartke. I'm here with author Tom Holloway, who's written this wonderful book, 53 Keys to a Lasting Marriage, 53 Imperfect Years and Counting. And I just thank him so much for coming on to share his story about love, relationships, marriage, how to make it all work. Welcome, Tom, to the podcast.
Kim, thank you so much for the invitation. This is going to be fun. Over to you.
Well, I understand that you were at a conference and you were urged by some of the participants to write a book. Tell us that story.
The conference was Abundance, put on by Life on Fire. When I went to the conference, I really had no idea that I would be writing a book. I was sitting around the lunch table with some new friends, showed them pictures of the 53rd wedding anniversary celebration that I had shared with Elaine a couple of months before. They said, "Tom, 53 years? That's a long time. What are your secrets?" And I thought, I'm not sure. Well, let me think about it and get back to you.
Marriage just came naturally to you, Tom, I guess.
It came naturally and with a lot of pain. So we try to learn from our mistakes. It's said that those who are wise learn from their mistakes. Those who are really wise learn from the mistakes of others. And so I made mistakes, and hopefully I learned from them.
And that's what gives you credibility as an author. You're not professing perfection, but you're professing improvement and personal growth, which is what our podcast is all about. Tell me a little bit about your personal motivations for writing this book, 53 Keys to a Successful Marriage.
Thank you. I love to help people. If the experiences that I have had help people, that is what I want to do. I want to pay tribute in the book to the lovely lady that I was married to for 53 plus years until she passed away on September 29 of 2001. 2021.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I still miss her. So I wanted to pay tribute to her, and I also wanted to help people. Along the way, we learn a lot of good lessons, and we learn some very painful lessons. One of the things that I hope to get across in this is reflected in a quote that I heard recently. Learn to appreciate what you have before life teaches you to learn to love what you used to have.
And you were mentioning that the last 3 years of her life, Elaine was not really able to communicate because of her dementia.
That's right. So for those last 3 years, I was hardly able to understand any of the words. So we communicated in other ways. I would go and visit her at the assisted living facility. I would take to her my notes from the sermon from the week before. I would let her know that I still loved her. I would, of course, hold hands with her, rub her back, and just let her know, Elaine, you're still very special to me, whether you can talk or not. And that was really weird because she was so eloquent when I first met her, and she could talk circles around me if she wanted to, but that was not her nature. She was very supportive.
Well, that's really a very strong devotion that you had, that in sickness and in health, till death do you part, you were there for her. And it is unusual for a wife to predecease a husband. It's usually the other way around. So what was that like as a man, realizing, oh, I'm going to outlive this helpful mate that I've had all these years?
It was sobering. I knew that I wanted to be there for her when I took the marriage commitment. I wanted to take care of her for my lifetime and hers. I had a financial goal to make sure that her needs were taken care of. So I was very happy that I was able to fulfill that commitment. Also, I knew I needed to rely on some additional help, and my church family was very helpful as I was making the decision on various assisted living communities, which one would be the best fit for her. My pastor, Brad Wells, and his family were very helpful as sounding boards. So I really appreciate them and how they have ministered in my life.
It's wonderful that you had such a supportive community around you and that you weren't navigating those issues by yourself, because obviously you couldn't talk to your wife about it under the circumstances with her declining, abilities to communicate.
Right.
What do you hope that this book will achieve in the lives of others? Obviously, it's a gift to the world that you've shared your insights and your wisdom, but what do you hope others get out of it the most?
I hope that they can take from it some snippets of wisdom. They can turn to just about any page. For example, the first and master key: make your marriage last, put it first, right after God. In the scriptures from Psalm 37:4, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And then right across the page from that, adversity. We all go through times of adversity, and our perspective makes a big difference in how we respond to those situations. Adversity actually helps us grow. And the quote from Dean Graziosi is, don't think when things happen that we didn't expect. Don't think, why did this happen to me? But rather, why did this happen for me? So hopefully,
I love that quote. It speaks to whatever happens to you. It's how you take it or how you frame it in your own mind that makes all the difference, whether it's something bad or something good. One of the things I wanted to show our listeners is the format of the book. At the top, there's a key phrase like pain, perseverance, and then just a very brief passage about those particular issues. Here's one on planning and perspective. So it is very digestible nuggets, possibility and prayer. So you see, it's not a prosy book, really. It's more pithy quotes and little one-liners like focus. The page on focus is focus on we, not just me. And that's something I learned as a new bride. I had to stop calling it my wedding and calling it our wedding. Not yes. My wedding gifts, but our wedding gifts. I found myself correcting myself all the time because as a single woman, I dreamed about my future wedding. I talked about it. I planned for it. A groom was never in the picture. It was also in the future. There was nothing in the place. So it took me a while to unlearn that habit of calling it mine and my, and calling it we and ours.
Congratulations.
One of the things I like about this book is, you know how on the back of a John, people usually put a little humor, a book of humor. This would be the perfect book to put in your powder room for guests to pick up when they're sitting on the throne. They can read good ideas about marriage instead of a dumb joke that they're not going to remember, but they might read one thing in this book that would actually change their marriage situation for the better. I dog-eared a bunch of pages. Here's one that you just read, the one about adversity, the quote from Dean Graziano. And then I really, really love this page on encouragement. The one-liner is, be your spouse's best cheerleader. And I think that is so true. That, you know, my husband is a former high school athlete. He was the captain of the team, basketball team. And until he met me, he really didn't have anybody saying, "Attaboy," and "I'm proud of you." In fact, he hugged me on one of our early dates and he said, "Thank you for saying you're proud of me. Nobody but my parents has ever said that." So I make it a point almost on a daily basis to look for something to praise in him, some word of encouragement. And I think that goes a long way to making you a valuable player in your marriage. Too often, we tend to nitpick or look at the faults of the person we love. You know, that old saying, familiarity breeds contempt. And I think here's a page on giving, and it says, "It's more blessed to give than to receive." Well, giving praise, giving encouragement is truly a blessing for somebody. Um, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what you plan to do with the book? I understand that you are available to speak to groups, and what kind of workshop would you do using this book?
There's a presentation that I'm developing called "The Stages of Love in Marriage," starting
That sounds
with when we were first infatuated. This person, I need to get to know them better. And then there's that the euphoria of the engagement and the honeymoon, when neither of you can do anything wrong. And then the disillusionment stage, when neither of you can do anything right. And then there are times of adversity that come. And many people, when they go through adversity, think, I married the wrong person. The fact that you're going through adversity doesn't mean you married the wrong person. It just means you're married. So I hope that people can take away from this book some insights that will help them and keep things in perspective. God has great plans for our marriages. He's given us great gifts, opportunities to grow. And so I hope we will take advantage of those.
Well, another thing to point out about the book is look at all the blank space on this page on responsibility. People could actually make notes there of what they've personally learned about being a responsible mate. And then in the back, you've got these empty pages that say reflections at the top, where people can reflect back, and they can refer to this book over and over again through the course of a long marriage. And if they have their personal notes, it really personalizes it to them and their situation. I love that. And then in the back, you have beautiful memories of your marriage. You've got pictures from your marriage, and a little, I guess this is the order of service from your wife's funeral.
That's right.
Here's a tribute to your wife, showing her in her bridal gown when you got married. It's really a lovely idea. And I hope that more successfully married men and women will write books like this, because we have too many people urging folks to just bail out, go toward the divorce courts. Not enough people are giving a leg up in terms of how to be successfully married. And one of the things that I feel, and I'd like your reaction to this, is that there really are roles and responsibilities in marriage. And if they're very clearly delineated, if it eliminates a lot of frustrations in the marriage. A lot of friction can be eliminated just by the wife knowing what her jobs are in the marriage and the husband knowing what his jobs are. How do you feel about that?
I think if people sit down and talk about who does what, who likes to do each thing, I like for people to be doing what they enjoy doing and what they're best at about 80% of the time. Now, all of us will have some road work. We'll have some chores that we don't particularly like, but we do them anyway. And if we can come to agreement on who does what, then that eliminates a lot of the confusion, a lot of heartache, and a lot of hurt feelings.
And a lot of harping. Because if you own it, you'll get it done. And the other thing I do is, if there's things that my husband just does not like to do and they're not really in my skill set, I hire it done. And I think it's important for husbands and wives to give each other the freedom to jettison tasks that neither one of them like and hand it over to a professional or a handyman or even a kid in the neighborhood that love to make an extra $10 an hour toward his school books or his next bicycle he wants to buy, something like that.
I
Anyway,
think that is excellent advice. Yes.
yeah, because my husband does not like doing mechanical things. He's one of those boys that he was better on the basketball court than in the shop class. So that's why I have a long Rolodex of handy men.
we each have our strengths. And I think
that's right.
if we operate in the areas of our strength and our gifting, things work out a lot better for all of us.
Do you recommend aptitude testing or going to workshops where people can learn how they're gifted, how they're wired?
I think the more we can understand about ourselves and others, the more likely we are to have things working well together. My experience included over 30 years as a manager in the federal government, and I really liked dividing the work up. If John is really good at one task and Joe is really good at another task, and Mary is really good at a third task, taking that jigsaw puzzle and fitting it all together where everybody is working on what they enjoy doing most of the time, that was a real key to success.
Excellent, excellent idea. Tell me a little bit about what your future holds as a newly widowed, a new widower, I think is the proper way to say it. What is your plan?
Excellent. The plan is unfolding. In addition to being a widower, I have recently retired from the federal government after 42 years and 5 months of federal service. And my first assignment in retirement was to wrestle with that age-old question, what do I want to be when I grow up? Or, said a better way, what is the best investment of my remaining time here on this earth? I think I have a partial answer to that. Part of it is the book and getting the message of that book out, both in writing, some blogs, and in speaking engagements. Another part of the solution is to become a coach. I'm currently in coach certification training, and I expect to have that under my belt in the next few months, helping other people learn from the mistakes that I've made so that they don't have to learn the hard way. So,
excellent. Excellent. Well, since you keep mentioning mistakes that taught you, could you give us an example of one mistake that you've overcome and become victorious in that area?
Probably the biggest mistake that I made was thinking that I knew better than Elaine in every situation.
Oh dear.
Big mistake. There were times when she would offer me some advice. I would ignore the advice and plow on. Some of that, one or two cases, it involved financial investments, which amazingly did not work out. If I had learned and had been humble enough to take her advice and sit down and listen to what she was saying, understand why she was saying it, we would have been better off.
Amen to that. And that is a secret and it works both ways. The wives need to also really listen to the husband's advice, because by and large, when we give each other advice within a marriage, it's really for the good of the whole. And if somebody ventures forth with a contrary opinion, it's time to kind of stop and reevaluate and think it through and talk some more, if nothing else. Here's a page that I love in your book about in-laws. And I think this is so appropriate. It says, treat them with respect and gratitude. They raised your spouse.
Yep.
So it stands to reason, if you love your husband or your wife, you must respect the people that gifted you that perfect mate, that wonderful person that you love so much. And understand that they're losing a little bit by letting you in their life and their my in-laws were wonderful. They embraced me wholeheartedly. They treated me like a daughter. Our first Christmas together, they hung a stocking on their mantle with my name on it. I never for one minute felt like I was a threat. And I also feel that I did my best to respect and love them in return and appreciate them for who they were and for the man that they raised, that graced my life with a marriage proposal. So I really think that that is so key. So many people want to create adversarial relationships with in-laws, and it never is pretty. It never works out. My husband always tells me jealousy is a very ugly trait, and I believe he's quite right about that.
Right.
So I can say when I was single in my family system, there were moments of jealousy that were not helpful to my growth as a person. And luckily, within marriage, with my husband's opinion taking into consideration, I no longer struggle with that. I would say it's not a virtue, it's a vice to be jealous.
You're absolutely right. So.
Yeah. Anyway, well, now if somebody wanted to reach you, do you have a website? Can you give us the website or your YouTube channel, wherever they could touch base with you to find out if you would like to come speak to their civic group or church or club about marriage?
Thank you. The website is drtomholloway.com. And on that website, there's an opportunity to invite me to speak, invite me to presentations, or if you're interested in exploring coaching, you can do that also. Would be glad to see how I can be of help to you.
Excellent. Well, everybody needs a sounding board, and I'd much rather them go to Tom Holloway than somebody that wasn't successfully married for so many years. So I wish you well and Godspeed on your new life as a marriage coach, a relationship coach, an author. And I hope that when you get invitations to speak, you'll take your books and sell them, because they're a wonderful little gem. And as you can see, it's not a thick book. It won't take you long to read. In fact, you can read half of it before you go to bed tonight and the other half in the morning upon waking. It's really that quick a read. And what's nice is you can highlight or dog ear. I've dog eared about 6 pages that I really liked that I'll probably refer back to time and again. And I think I'm going to take my own advice and write some notes in your book. So thank you so much, Tom.
Hope that is very helpful. I would like to leave you with one bit of advice that I'm trying to apply because I have some travel coming up. My 8th grade math teacher told us how to pack for a trip. It's there on page 60 of the book. You get out all the clothes you think you'll need, get out all the money you think you'll need. Put back half the clothes and get twice as much money.
That way you can buy the sweater you left behind, right?
Right.
I always pack about 30% more clothes than I need on a trip. So you're absolutely right about that. The other thing is to buy a smaller suitcase, which I did on a recent trip. So I was having to be very careful about what I packed. And it worked out that I wore everything at least once, sometimes twice. And it was a lighter load to carry through the airport. So I like that advice. And there's so much about life and relationships that has nothing to do with the other person. It's just how you pack your luggage for the trip that the two of you are taking, so that you don't forget anything, you don't stress, and you don't make your partner exasperated with you because you're complaining the whole trip about something you forgot.
That's a type of baggage that we don't need.
That's right. That's right. And I thank you very much again for your time, and we'll be putting this up on the YouTube channel. Please like and share this video and help other people with their marriages, help them find Tom Holloway and his wonderful book. Also, if you like my channel, please invite your friends to subscribe. I focus on self-improvement and self-help books that could be useful to somebody working toward personal growth and development and reaching their goals. So please keep me in mind and send friends to the channel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this and look forward to talking with you again.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah.